that you are whole and complete as you are, and you are infinitely loved and taken care of. You have nothing to fear.
Hey everybody, this is Speak Osman here with the Heart Centered Selling Academy. I'm here with a new friend of mine. I'm really excited to talk about and find out, get all the goods on it. His name is Alec Hamilton, and he's a love attraction and manifestation coach. I know those are things, both of those that are very important to all of us, and something that we all definitely want to do is to be able to manifest our dream life and to get that perfect love match as well. Alec, how are you doing today?
That's the good stuff, Pete. Yes, I'm feeling good. Feeling happy. It's a beautiful day and everything is going well.
Right, great. So it sounds like you really focus on love attraction. Do you find as you attract that love that you're wanting, that you're also bringing in other parts of your life that you're desiring as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, basically the fundamentals of what I do with love attraction apply to whatever you would like to attract, So it's you could attract a job, more financial abundance, you could attract a fitter body, even friendships. I mean, really whatever you desire. It's all working with universal principles and our higher faculties in alignment.
Perfect. And so what do you find are the key aspects to being able to manifest this love attraction?
Yeah, so the number one most important thing, which I find a lot of people get backwards, is getting clear about your intentions and desires before you even get started with somebody. I think there's a lot of power to, simply loving for the sake of loving. I think that's wonderful. But what I specialize in is attracting more long-term relationships, often leading to marriage and family. So if you're looking for something like that, the more clarity you can have beforehand, the more clearly you're going to be able to call it in.
So with your clients, it sounds like you really work on inner stuff before you have them like go out to the dating scene or get on Tinder or whatever they might do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's pretty much that's the bulk of the work that I do is another way to say it would be tracking partnership through personal development, from the inside out, and you know from the heart is another one of the keys. Heart
Excellent.
center, radiating outwards.
And so is it the type of thing where you do this inner work and then these people just start coming into your life, or how does that actually work as far as a process is concerned?
Exactly. Yeah, it's thinking about attracting as opposed to chasing after. So I guess if you were to look at principles of energy, it's a little bit more of a feminine way of attracting love in. But when we're doing it in alignment, we're balancing the two forces, and people will gravitate to a different balance of those. There's especially for a man, we have this strong belief that we need to go out and go after what we want, whether it be a job or a career or a relationship or whatever, where we have that feeling that we have to really go after it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there is another way, and it's the way that I teach, that is more about attract. And you still have to put yourself out there. Don't get me wrong. It's not it's not a passive strategy, but it's just a different lens to think about it with.
So the perfect woman doesn't come up and knock on your door in 10 hours, right?
Well, maybe, but results are not typical.
So do you find that your clients probably have very specific, like, maybe brunette or whatever, and that they're actually, are they finding that they might have to open their kind of their realm of what might be attractive, and then something else comes to them?
Hmm. Yeah, we're much more focused on the energy.
Hmm.
So, it's like, if you're going to have a sexual relationship, you want to be sexually attracted to that person, of course. But I do find being too hung up on specific material characteristics can slow down the progress. One of the number one most important things I like to think about and tell my clients is that you're you're attracting the divine selection. So it's like
Hmm.
attracting the person who is really in alignment with what you energetically need at the moment for your evolution, as opposed to thinking, I want a hot blonde or I want a tall man who's has, a certain kind of beard and a certain haircut and, and but also like I said, there's nothing wrong with those being attracted to certain physical characteristics. So you can put that in your manifestation. Like there were certain physical characteristics that I was manifesting in my wife, and she does fit into those categories. But more importantly, what I was creating was a feeling. And so the way that I feel and the way that I immediately felt when I was around her was I felt emotionally at home with her.
Hmm.
And this is something that I really hadn't, and I got goosebumps when I said that actually, but it's something that I had really not found in a lot of other women in the past. And I knew that's what I was seeking. So as soon as I met her, it was very clear that she was the one that I was looking for. And things moved very fast with us because of that, because we were both just ready for the other one to come along.
Oh, I love
She
that.
actually she broke up with her boyfriend before we had met, just because she was like, "Oh, I think I'm about to meet somebody." She just had this, clear feeling, and sure enough, we met. I don't know, a couple of weeks or a month after she did that.
Huh, you're making me realize I had forgotten that I had taken a large piece of paper and written 7 characteristics for the husband that I was looking for, and I had it up on my living room wall the first time I had my to be husband over. He saw this list and he was like, "That's me." And I had forgotten it was on the wall, right? And so that's really
Uh-huh.
interesting because I guess that's exactly what I did, right? Was I made a list of the
Uh-huh.
7 most important characteristics, and I think that was part of what drew him in
No
to me.
doubt, no doubt
Yeah,
about it.
I love that.
Oh, cool.
So you have a book called The Love Attraction Manuals, which you told me, and now you're doing a men's edition. Is that true?
That's right. Yeah, the men's edition is actually finished. Also, I finished that last year. Here's a picture of it, and basically what that is it's a guidebook and a journal for writing out your future in the present time.
I love that.
And yeah, so it has principles. The men's edition is a little bit different. It has more of my personal story of finding love and attracting my wife. And I'll say that it's specifically targeted towards men who are seeking female partners, specifically for long-term relationship. Although I will say also that, as we said earlier, the principles really are the same either way. Like I know there's masculine, feminine polarity in gay relationships as well, pretty much reliably, pretty much every time. And I think if there isn't, it kind of makes it hard to have that sexual polarity with somebody. It becomes more of a friend, pal kind of relationship. And same goes with male-female relationships. If they're both sort of similarly polarized, it kind of goes into the companionship, friendship kind of zone more so than really having the sexual push and pull.
Hmm. Now, do you just I've
Both are
already
great.
oh yeah, for sure. I know that a lot of people teach about like preparing your space, having an open space in your closet, and preparing
Mm.
yourself and just like getting your whole like center ready to have a partner. Is that part of your? I don't know your program, so I was wondering if that's part of it or what you say about it as far as like preparing yourself to actually have a partner.
Yes. Yeah. So I would say I do that more so energetically than physically, but both do apply. So yeah, I mean, if you want something to come into your life, whatever it is, you must have space for it. So that principle really does apply whether we're talking about material things or relationships or whatever, jobs.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, I think the way that just clearing space in your house is also, you're doing something to yourself energetically when you do that. So it is an effective tactic, definitely.
Hmm.
You're making room as though it's like, they're coming. You have faith that they're on the way, and you're just getting ready. So
Uh,
yes, that is an effective tactic for sure.
So how does the process work for your clients? Do they like have coaching times with you, go through the manual? Is it like a 2 or 3 month or like a year, or what type of process does your client experience working with you?
Yeah, so a couple of different things. The things I find to be the most useful and beneficial are the longer programs. So I do a 3 month and a 6 month program. And that is one-on-one coaching. So it does vary depending on who I'm working with. I have a number of different tools that I use, which range from, sort of more traditional, you could say life coaching techniques, although I don't love that term. But I studied with the Proctor Gallagher Institute. So some of my theory and practice comes from Bob Proctor and his philosophies. And then personally, my background is much more in the, sort of metaphysical, spiritual side of things. So depending on the client and their needs, I'll use a range between them. But the entire program is structured around uh, Bob's progression that he brings people through for basically changing yourself at the subconscious level, changing your paradigm, as he would say, uh, to be in alignment with exactly what it is that you're creating.
Hmm.
So some
No.
tools that I use personally that are a little different are I will use hypnosis, and
Hmm.
I'm also a student of astrology. So if that's of interest to them, I can get into some of that. For some people, that's really helpful. For other people, it's confusing. So I can go either way with that. But definitely the hypnosis is very helpful for doing the subconscious reprogram.
Hmm.
Yeah. Other than that, I make myself available to people through text or email in the interim between sessions. So if they have questions, I will get to those as quickly as I can, usually within a day or two. And then the other thing I offer along with it is there are worksheets for every stage. So we're going through a logical progression, and each stage has different activities to do that are in alignment with the overarching goal of changing your paradigm, changing your subconscious programs to attract the relationship and the life that you desire. So it's really, it's like love and relationships are one result of doing this inner work that is, of really getting in alignment with who we are as a soul and what it is that we came to do here in this world.
Hmm. Now, do you prescribe to the idea that there's a twin flame or one particular person, or do you think that there are different people we can match with?
I would say I would say yes, and
Uh,
I think there's many. You know, I think in a universe of infinite possibilities, the amount of people that we could fall in love with is pretty much endless. And I certainly believe in lifelong love, and I also my personal experience has been that there are seasons and stages, and people their pathways come in and out of alignment. So you could, I was engaged to be married to somebody years ago before I met my wife, and it was heartbreaking because we loved each other so much, but we just were not in alignment with where we were in our lives and what we wanted to do going forward. So the only thing we could do was to let each other go,
Hmm.
and I still kind of feel the impact of that because it was a hard trip to go on. And I actually have some of that story in the men's edition of the book because what it did to me personally was it broke me open. It's, that term is, I think, very applicable, and we can take heartbreak in one of two ways. We can use it as, kind of this opening transformative experience, or we can close down and shut down and try and protect ourselves from ever happening anything like that ever happening again.
Hmm.
Which I think sadly is what a lot of people do when they have an experience like that.
Hmm.
So one of the biggest things that I teach is all about forgiveness and releasing the past, releasing energetic uh, ties that are holding us down and keeping us stuck, and releasing resentment, because that's one of the heaviest, some of the most toxic energy that we can hold in our bodies. So it becomes really hard to manifest, especially in the area of love, if we're holding on to a lot of that. And if we are holding on to it, we'll attract somebody else to kind of, teach us the lesson again, which is obviously not what we want to do. So
So how do people deal with past relationships for their partner? Do you find that like a lot of jealousy issues come up, or how can people navigate that the best?
yeah, very much in the same sort of energetic category there. You know, I I really believe that personally, I really believe in the idea of like of infinite love. So the idea that, you know, that my partner could be in love with somebody else doesn't, for me, take away from how much she loves me, especially if it's in the past, you know. So I think, if somebody's experiencing a lot of jealousy from past relationships, it's very much a sign that they have something in their energetic field that they need to work through so that they can give and receive love more openly and fully, and not be kind of having a scarcity mindset around life,
Hmm.
because that's in a sense what the emotion of jealousy is. It's scarcity energy around like a specific thing. So like, people have the same thing with success. They'll see somebody they grew up with who's, now making a lot of money or doing cool stuff, and they're like, "Oh, why did they get that and I didn't?" Instead of being like, "Wow, they can do that. They did that. How cool. I can do that too, or I can do my own version."
Hmm.
So my personal perspective, and I know this is not an easy place for some people to go. I'm pretty I'm pretty open, I would say, in that way, in terms of just the way my love history has been in the past. I mean, I was sort of more on the, I guess, poly slash open side when I was younger. So during that time, went through, a lot of these emotions that would come up with something like that. And yeah, just really deeply understanding that if you truly love somebody, you want them to experience love and to experience pleasure and to experience whatever they desire in life. And that doesn't make it easy necessarily, depending on the situation, but it's a deeply loving place to go to, if you can get there.
Hmm. For sure. So what happens if like one of your clients is successful in finding somebody, but then they have a really terrible date? What are some ways to really navigate that?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. It's like I have one person who I've been working with for a long time. She was actually one of the first people who I did any of this type of work with, and she's attracted quite a number of different partners, and not all those relationships have been, super perfect or harmonious, but like, what she's doing is she's practicing, she's learning how to attract and learning how to create and learning what she wants and what she doesn't want. And so, if you can really see it, a bad date or a bad relationship as simply that, it's a very helpful perspective
Hmm.
because we don't want to take it personally. It's like, and I'm saying this knowing that I have done it. I've been rejected. I've had bad days. I've had, challenging experiences with love, and it took me a long time to kind of get to this place where I was like, okay, well, I can love and accept myself anyways, and I can, just see it as an experience that taught me that wasn't quite what I needed. So it's almost like this analogy is a little funny to use with love, but I think it's a little bit applicable as you're kind of doing something similar as you're doing when you're marketing. It's like you're you're just putting all these signals out there in order to attract your ideal avatar, and through the process of doing that, you're going to attract a number of people who don't fit to that. And another thing you can kind of tell yourself around that is like, okay, well, you know I got a date. I attracted somebody who was interested in me. I'm making progress. I know what I don't want. I know what I want. And just kind of, you know, I think one of the most attractive qualities that people can have, especially men, is carefree confidence.
Hmm.
If you can come into love with that type of attitude and just really have a deep love in your own heart for yourself coming into all these experiences, then those those times of rejection and challenge don't hit you as hard, and you bounce back from them quicker. It
Hmm.
still stings, it's like we're not robots. It still is like we all want to be loved and we all want to be accepted, and that's so important to us as humans. But kind of the thing we really have control over is the meaning that we give to it and how quickly we can redirect to where we want to go.
Hmm.
Because and this is like, I go over this a lot with people because so many people are living in energies of the past when it comes to love, and it keeps us from manifesting what we want. So we have to be able to heal and integrate and release those things in order to move forward and get what we really want.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of go on and on about that, but
Yeah, you looked up like you had another thought that was coming in. Uh, I was just gonna say, what are some like maybe top tips for people to find love? And does it start with love within your own self, or how do you see that?
yeah. So that's one of those cliches that I think is mostly true. I think a couple lenses on it. One of them is that I believe that we learn how to love ourselves by loving others.
Hmm.
So I don't believe in getting stuck in this idea where it's like I need to be perfectly self-loving and whole and complete in every way, before I even think about starting anything with anybody else, because we learn how to love through being in love and through being in relationship. Uh, so that's really one important lens, and the other one is, yeah, it's gonna help. The more loving we are to ourselves, the more easily we're going to be able to attract that energy. And it's, really doing this stuff, working with the law of attraction, is we want to consider all the feelings, all the emotions that we're seeking from a relationship, and see how we can embody those and experience them right now where we are. So, it's like we can be loving and we can be kind and we can be joyful, and we can project this energy out in our day-to-day life, just walking around, going to the post office, talking to uh, a friend or a family member. Like, we're constantly in this process of practicing the vibrations that we want to be attracting.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a part of my process there with that. And then a phrase that I really love is and this is in my book right at the beginning, is like, okay, it's really great thinking about, manifesting all of our desires and creating this dream life and making all this magic. And at the same time, we want to understand that, the truth of the matter is that you are whole and complete as you are, and I am whole and complete as I am. And there's no external circumstance that is going to suddenly, complete me and finish the job and make it so I'm perfectly, happy and content and joyful and et cetera, et cetera. So, being able to come back to that place as much as possible and proceeding with this idea of infinite love and gratitude there's a lot of magic in that. And one more thing on that is that once you start asking source energy for love and for relationships, uh, and you do so truly with faith, with openness, with a willingness to receive, source energy says, that's what we do. We're ready. We're so glad we're ready. You're ready. And maybe we isn't the right word, but it's like that energy is extremely responsive to our intention to love and be loved. So yeah, I believe that's our birthright and our true nature.
Hmm. How soon after like a breakup or a divorce or something of that nature do you think that it's healthy for people to begin to see other people? Like a lot of people like to jump right from one frying pan to the other. Do you think there's a
Yeah,
space in between, or what's best?
that would be my recommendation. There's a lot of personal preference with this, and it's like, the fundamental question there is, when are you ready? Because somebody could be ready in a month, or somebody, it could take them years. Like for me, after I broke up with my fiance, I really was not interested in dating anybody or getting involved with anybody for let's say a good year and a half. I mean, I started to think about it, and we went back and forth, like, can we make it work? No, we can't make it work. Can we make it work? Kind of doing that whole thing. And yeah, it really took me a while, and and there were people interested in me during that time who were really wonderful, beautiful people, and I was just like, I've been, I don't have the space for this. I don't feel like I can care for your heart in the way that you deserve. So it's a long way to say I think there's a lot of personal preference, but trying to jump back into something new to kind of fill the void is definitely not recommended.
Hmm.
I think a period of self-love and self-reflection and for me the beauty of that experience was I stepped back and I said, what do I really want? How do I want to live my life? Because before I had been trying to fit my life around hers in a sense. I moved across the country to be with her in her city, which is a place I wouldn't have chosen otherwise. And I was almost deluding myself, thinking, okay, I can make this work. I can be happy here. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. In the end, it was like once we broke up, I was kind of like, I have space to figure out what I need and get clear about what I need. And so that energy that I had in that relationship, it wasn't good for me and it wasn't good for her because she knew it. She's a woman. She has deep intuition. She knew exactly what was going on, and it was driving her crazy too.
Hmm. Got it. So how can people find you, Alec? Or do you have any last words you'd like to say before we go today?
Yeah, sure. So I think I'll repeat it one more time because I believe it's super important. Remembering that you are whole and complete as you are, and you are infinitely loved and taken care of. You have nothing to fear.
And so, do you
Like,
have a YouTube channel, Facebook, or how do people connect with you? How do people work with you?
yeah. So a number of different ways I have. It's Manifesting with Alec, and that is on YouTube and Instagram. On Facebook, I don't know if you're where you're posting this, but we could drop some links for people to find me. But Instagram Manifesting with Alec is a good way if this really resonates with you and you want to contact me directly, just find me on Instagram and send me a message. That's probably gonna be the fastest
That's
way.
that's your best.
And that's the quickest way to get to me. And then my book, the men's edition is on loveattraction.info/free. And it's a free plus shipping book. So it's like, it ends up being something like less than $10 to have it sent to you. And then there's a couple other things that you can get along with it, like an audiobook and some other things that I created. And then the original edition, the Love Attraction Manual, is on Amazon. So that is
Beautiful.
pretty easy to find, especially with my name, Alec Falle Hamilton. Fall is Falle.
Ah, I put that extra E in there. All right, Alec. Well,
Yeah,
appreciate you coming
it's
on to
a
the show.
all right. Thank you, Pete. It's been fun talking with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Yes, this has been the Heart Centered Selling Academy podcast with Alec Hamilton, a love attraction and manifesting coach. And we will talk to y'all later.